Good evening, Hampton Roads. Welcome to another edition of Dollars and Common Sense, your local source for objective, unbiased financial advice. I'm your host, certified financial planner Kevin Zivna, coming to you live like I do every second and fourth Tuesday of the month to dialogue with you, take your calls. If you have a question or comment relating to your own personal financial situation or anything I'm talking about here tonight, jump on the phone lines. Give me a call, 627-7979. All we need is your first name, city you're calling from, and no matter what I'm talking about, if it's important to you, then it's important to me. We'll get you right on air. 627-7979. Wealthway Financial Advisors is the proud sponsor of Dollars and Common Sense. We are an independent registered investment advisor, which means we're legally held to a fiduciary standard to put our clients' interest ahead of our own in any business dealing or recommendation that we make. And that's the way it should be when you work with a financial advisor. As the premier financial planning firm in Hampton Roads, we integrate expert investment management with customized ongoing financial planning advice to help our clients answer life's big financial questions and enhance their quality of life. So by design, we can't work with everyone. We work with a relatively small group of high net worth individuals. But that's one of the reasons we feel so strongly about coming here every second and fourth Tuesday at 6 p.m. And that's to reach out and help as many people in the Hampton Roads listening area that we can achieve your measure of financial success. Because it is a core belief at Wealthway Advisors that the overwhelming majority of people in this country have the opportunity for financial security if they choose it. And it is a choice because it takes some time, it takes some effort, and it takes some knowledge. We are here to help. You got to take that first step, though. Pick up the phone. Give me a call, 627-7979. Whether you want to talk about anything having to do with the investment markets, the economy, insurance products like life insurance, health insurance, property casualty, taxes, tax planning, tax reduction strategies, retirement planning, retirement plans, 401ks, 403bs, TSPs, 457s, mortgage options, Social Security claiming strategies, or estate planning, wills and trusts. All that and more falls under the umbrella of personal finance we are here to discuss tonight. All right, tonight we're talking about from paychecks to portfolios, how to replace income without replacing your peace of mind when you go into retirement. So this episode will address one of the most difficult transitions in the retirement red zone. And last show I talked about the retirement red zone, the 5 years prior to and the 5 years immediately after retirement. So the transition into the retirement red zone, moving from predictable paychecks to drawing income from savings and investments. And the goal here is to help you understand that retirement stress is rarely caused by investment performance. It is driven by an uncertainty around income reliability, the timing, the flexibility, and the emotional reactions to market volatility. And so we're going to focus tonight on how intentional income planning can replace paychecks without replacing your peace of mind. So it's pretty much a truism that while retirement is a very exciting time, there's a lot of anticipation around it. People get ready to reclaim a lot of time that they gave up in pursuit of a career, and that they have more opportunities to engage in different pursuits than they had when they were working full time. And so it's a whole new lease on life. When we say it's a new chapter, it absolutely feels like you're turning the page to a new exciting chapter. But along with some of that excitement comes some anxiety, naturally, around losing a paycheck. You know, it's almost universal between everyone who we counsel as they go through the retirement process. They report some version of feeling excited and a little bit scared at the same time, and that's normal and natural. And especially people who've worked for a steady paycheck for their entire lives that they receive from an employer, especially usually the bigger the employer, the more perception of stability there is. And once you cut that cord from an employer, and then you are responsible only to yourself for your income, then things get a little bit more serious. So we're going to talk tonight about how you go from that paycheck to your own type of paycheck through the retirement process. And one of the main themes that I'm going to talk about is that reliability and flexibility in terms of your financial spending habits are more important than chasing investment returns, which a lot of people still today way over prioritize rates of return on investments as the main engine and the main driver of wealth creation, as well as wealth maintenance, if you will. And no, it really has to do a lot more with spending patterns and spending habits than it is over your long-run investment returns. Those are important. Don't get me wrong. They are important, but they are not the most important. So part of the reason for that is that, investment management on its own is really of limited value. Again, it's important, but it's not the most important, because all we get out of investment management is a rate of return. And today, even today, with all of the world's technology, we still see brokerage statements, investment accounts with no rates of return on the entire account. Yes, you can get individual rates of return on your underlying individual investments in your 401k or brokerage account, but what we rarely see is a combined overall one single rate of return that applies to your entire portfolio across multiple accounts. That's something that we provide for our clients on a quarterly basis, but it's still rare in this day and age that people even know what the rates of return are on their investment portfolio. But regardless, that's pretty much all you get out of investment management is a rate of return. And rate of return doesn't tell you, are you saving enough? Did you save enough? How much is enough? How much can you spend in retirement without fear of running out of money? Those questions, those big, complicated questions, are answered through a disciplined, analytical financial planning process. So, investment management is important, but not the most important. So once the paycheck disappears on day one of retirement, right, the bills still keep coming. Right? You retire in February here, you still got a mortgage payment to make in March. So that psychological shift, even though you know it's coming for years and you've been dreaming about this day, that psychological shift is often harder than most people expect. And they often report a sensation like walking on a high wire in the circus without a safety net. Like, I was pretty good up there on that high wire, paying all the bills and everything when I knew there was a net below me. But now as I cross over without a company paycheck to support me, I feel like I don't have a safety net. Well, we help build our clients that safety net through regular income stream from their investments. So we're going to talk tonight about what it feels like when that paycheck stops. We're going to talk about why creating income feels harder than savings. It's sort of the back half of the investment management process. How building reliable income streams, how to build a reliable income stream, and then how flexibility and a backup plan is the safety valve that helps gives everyone peace of mind and comfort. And then if we have a little bit of time, how good income planning helps reduce the stress if it doesn't become self-evident. All right, we're going to pause right here for our first break. We'll be right back after these messages. 627-7979. I'm certified financial planner Kevin Zivna. You're listening to Dollars and Common Sense on News Talk 790 WNIS.
Advisors, planning for life. Wealthway Financial Advisors, planning for life.
And welcome back to Dollars and Common Sense, your local source for objective, unbiased financial advice. I'm certified financial planner Kevin Zivna, the president at Wealthway Financial Advisors, the premier financial planning firm in Hampton Roads, where we integrate expert investment management with customized ongoing financial planning advice to help our clients answer life's big financial questions and enhance their quality of life. For more information about us, check us out online at wealthwayadvisors.com. All right, tonight we're talking about from paychecks to portfolios, replacing income without replacing your peace of mind as you transition into retirement. So for the break, I was talking about some of the sensations, some of the feelings that people have when they transition from a paycheck to relying on their own savings and investments for income throughout retirement, and what a good income plan does once developed is it helps ease some of that anxiety by providing predictability of an income stream versus the short-term volatility of market performance. And there is an emotional comfort in that steady income. So once you sort of boil down to a regular spending number, whether it's monthly or annually, and you know that that number is reliable and sustainable despite short-term market performance, then it helps ease your anxiety and enhance your peace of mind. And some people even, some people feel that retirement is risky even with substantial savings. And one of the things that when we go through the exercise with our clients, the planning exercise, and we help provide them with their income number, their spending number, in almost all cases, it's a much higher spending number than they themselves would have estimated was possible. And what that tells me is that most people are far too conservative, number one, in their investment process or thinking and how it relates to how they're going to generate income off their portfolio. And they're too conservative in their spending habits once they transition into retirement. And by being too conservative in your spending, you forego activities, experiences, life enhancements that can improve your quality of life that you didn't have to, that you could have enjoyed instead of having to either postpone or eliminate because of the fear of the unknown. I don't know how much I can spend without fear of running out of money. What if something happens really big? What if I need a big lump sum? What if the market goes down 20%? What if? All those what ifs are always swirling around in your head when you're not confident in your spending number as you transition into retirement. So then you sort of like combine that with the loss of routine of going to the job and the financial security that having a company, that working for a company provides, steady paycheck, benefits paid for, 401k matching, all that, life enhancing stuff that we work for. When that all goes away, you've got that insecurity coupled with the financial insecurity of how much can I spend. Not everyone enters retirement in a healthy fashion, or if they do, they don't stay healthy for very long. It's usually the 6-month mark of retirement when we see people start to waver and question, should I have retired? Should I have worked another year, 2 years? Am I spending too much? So that's where the help of a good financial planner, a good financial advisor can really provide that excess peace of mind. And studies support this. Employee Benefit Research Institute, they had a retirement confidence survey in 2024 where they determined many retirees report anxiety about income sustainability despite adequate savings. And then Vanguard, similar study in 23, retirees with predictable income streams report higher confidence than those relying solely on portfolio withdrawals. So, it's like going from that straight salary to 100% commission. Salespeople will understand this, right? Can you imagine your job one day? You're getting paid a salary, you're getting paid an hourly rate to do your job, and then your boss comes in and said, "Hey, guess what, Jim? Tomorrow you're going to be 100% sales commission, and you're going to sink or swim, and you can make a lot more money selling stuff 100% commission than you're doing right now. But you can also lose your job, right?" So it feels a little unsettling just like that. And how it manifests itself in retiree behavior is that oftentimes they report that new retirees will report that they end up checking their account balances daily, check their bank accounts daily, check their credit card statements daily online, check their investments daily, of course, sometimes multiple times a day. That anxiety that I've got to watch it, I've got to pay attention, I've got to be prepared. And then purposely delaying spending or reducing spending unnecessarily due to that income uncertainty, you're giving up part of a lifestyle. You're reducing your lifestyle unnecessarily. Lifestyle is sort of the shorthand term we use for your spending, your monthly budget. The more you spend, the bigger your lifestyle, the more your life can experience and support. So you're purposefully reducing your lifestyle unnecessarily when you don't have a good income spending number. So why is creating income, why does it feel harder than savings? Well, when you're saving, down markets are a good thing. Don't feel like it when you're going through it at the time, but they definitely pay off. The more you contribute as we go through an investment market decline, the greater your long run rate of return when we get the eventual recovery. So in one sense, there isn't a lot of decision making to make in the grand scheme of things when you're in the savings part of your working years. You all you have to do is continue to save regularly, try to increase that on a regular basis, what you can save, and put away as much as you can. And with a proper, growth-oriented, well-diversified investment portfolio, then you should be richly rewarded. But when it comes to spending that money, when you have to flip the switch from savings to spending, then that market volatility is not your friend at that point. And it does require more sophisticated analysis. It does require more review of your situation, more involvement in the day-to-day. Now, it doesn't have to be every day, but you do have to pay more attention to it or have an advisor who does that for you. So, in the old days, things were pretty simple, and I still think most people go into retirement this way. I still think the general public is well far behind many of us in the planning industry from an income generation standpoint. But in the old days, people would go to work one day, get the gold watch, retire, and then take all their investment money and cash it in and buy a bunch of bank CDs and or bonds and or dividend paying stocks and just live off the interest. And whatever they had saved up to that point and whatever interest they could generate from those assets, that became their spending level. Well, the problem is bonds, bank products like CDs, savings accounts, money market accounts, and most, not all, most dividend-paying stocks, what they pay out, what those devices pay out, is not enough to even keep up with long-run inflation. And so you actually are eroding your purchasing power year after year by simply living off the interest. So it does take a different skill set. It also takes a different mindset to go from savings to spending. And a lot of times the misconceptions that we hear that people sort of cope their way through it or justify their way through it, well, I'll just withdraw what I need when I need it. Okay, so you live off Social Security, and when your bank accounts get low, then you withdraw some more. Okay, not really great plan. How about markets always average out? Long-term rate of return of S&P 500 close to 10% per year. Yep, that's true. That sure is true. But rare is it in any year that you actually get close to 10%. So you have to be prepared for down markets as well. And then, well, if I saved enough, this should be pretty easy. Okay? How do you know you have saved enough? How much is enough if you don't do the analysis to find out? All right, we're going to come back with more tips and techniques on how to generate income in retirement from your investment portfolio that gives you peace of mind. I'm certified financial planner Kevin Zibna. You're listening to Dollars and Common Sense on News Talk 790 WNIS.
Wealthway Financial Advisors, planning for life. Wealthway Financial Advisors, planning for life.
And welcome back to Dollars and Common Sense, your local source for objective, unbiased financial advice. I'm certified financial planner Kevin Zibna, the president of Wealthway Financial Advisors, the premier financial planning firm in Hampton Roads, where we integrate expert investment management with customized ongoing financial planning advice to help our clients answer life's big financial questions and enhance their quality of life. For more information about us, you can look us up online at wealthwayadvisors.com. Once there, you can request an information packet to find out what it's like to work with us, or sign up for a free quarterly newsletter at wealthwayadvisors.com. Just go to the Request a Consultation page, put your name and address in the dialog boxes there, select the appropriate drop-down menu, and we'll get that information out to you later on this week. And that's all we will use your name and address for, is just to send you the information that you request. Or if you got some nuanced questions, want to speak to a live human being, give us a call at the office, 456-2200. Want to remind everybody, our next live show will be in 2 weeks on Tuesday, March 10th. But if you can't catch us live every second and fourth Tuesday of the month, get this show as a podcast. Search for Dollars and Common Sense wherever you get your podcasts. Download us, take us with you where you go, and listen at your convenience. And for those of you into social media, we have a presence on Facebook and LinkedIn. Search for Wealthway Financial Advisors, and once every week or two, we put up an interesting and informative financial planning post to keep you engaged in the process. All right, 627-7979 if you want to jump in on the conversation. Tonight, we're talking about going from paychecks to portfolios, replacing income without replacing your peace of mind, and some of the sensations that it feels like when you transition from the workforce and a steady paycheck into retirement and relying on yourself and your own savings and your own investments in order to replace that income, and some of the challenges that presents. And so one of the challenges is it is a little bit harder to go from savings to actually spending if you want to do it properly. And one of the big reasons why it is harder is something that's kind of that's technically called sequence of returns risk. So well known in the planning industry, but sequence of return risk means that, it's kind of hard to explain via radio, but the timing of negative rates of return in your investment portfolio is more detrimental in the early years that you start spending from that portfolio than it is the later years. So average annual rate of return doesn't mean as much when the first 2 years of your retirement was a market decline of minus 15 and say a minus 12, right? And at that point, you're no longer saving, you're no longer adding to the portfolio, you're no longer buying shares at discounted prices because of a down market. Now you're withdrawing from that portfolio. Now you're taking out a set amount every month to sustain or enhance your lifestyle. And as the account values of your investments are declining, you're taking money out of that. That means each decline, each monthly decline, you're taking a little bit higher percentage out of the portfolio. And if that number is too large, or the market decline is too severe, or it goes on for too long, then what happens is you don't have as much money left in the portfolio as you expected when the eventual market recovery comes, and then that can significantly alter your long-term spending plan unless you have strategies and backup plans in place to account for the sequence of return risk that is prevalent in portfolio management. So something to be aware of, and something that is impactful in a negative sense when you get into the withdrawal phase. So it's the timing and the amount of your withdrawals matter more than long-run average rate of return out of your investment portfolio. And then you have, on top of the the uncertainty of going from a steady corporate paycheck to living off yourself and the money you've saved up, you also have that additional emotional impact of the early market losses. So, okay, yay, I'm retired. I can't wait. I'm so free. And then you start to see the account values decline. You're taking out more with each subsequent withdrawals. Now you're questioning your life decision, all your life choices. Why did I do this? Why did I do this to my family? I'm not happy. I need to go back to work. I need to get a part-time job, and the anxiety starts to creep in. So it's a sequence of return risk is a real thing, and it's something to be aware of and something to be managed through. It does not have to be feared, and it really can't be avoided unless it doesn't happen, from a timing perspective. But it's something that you should prepare for when you cross over to retirement, because that market volatility, once you're retired, feels a lot different than when you were working and getting a paycheck and contributing to your investment accounts every time you're making 401k deposits. So one of the things that makes it harder to create that income instead of savings, there's really there isn't as much of a strategy, or the strategy is more complex than the savings strategy, and then that leads people to overreact to short-term market volatility and start to get really conservative, overly conservative, when they might not have to, especially if they have a backup plan in place. So also, people who save a lot of money, still that uncertainty can cause fear. Even if they're not withdrawing, sometimes people don't have to withdraw right away from their investment accounts. They may have ample bank accounts. That's usually the first place we tell people to spend down from your bank account until it gets to a manageable level. And even if they aren't taking from their investments, but they see them decline once they're retired, it's much more stressful than when they've been working. So it's kind of like hitting potholes at full speed. It can be very jarring. You can survive it. It's not going to cause major damage to your vehicle. Unless you hit the pothole that I hit on Shore Drive, like after our first snowstorm. I don't know where that crater came from. They have since packed it in, unfortunately. But I'm telling you what, that was car shaker. Now, I survived. No flat tire, no noise from my car, but it was jarring. So that's kind of what it can feel like. So then we got to talk about how do you build a reliable income stream, okay? So we want to replace the paycheck, and you want to duplicate the same sort of structure and predictability that you got from your paycheck with an income stream from your investment account. So first off, how much do we need? Well, we know you're going to have Social Security at some point. When do we take it? Age 62 the earliest, wait all the way to 70 the latest, or full retirement age, which for most people right now is somewhere between 66 and 67, or anywhere in between. But Social Security, guaranteed lifetime income stream, okay? Pension, do you have one? If so, how much? What claiming strategies do you take when it's pension? Do you take it on your single life only? Do you take it jointly with your spouse? Do you take it for a period certain? fairly amount of complex decision-making around pension claiming decisions. But for those of you who still have them, congratulations, that gets added to Social Security. And then usually the third leg of the income stool is the withdrawal from savings and investments. So it's not an all or nothing proposition. Almost all of us will have income from at least one other source going into retirement, and we want our savings and investments to supplement that. So we try to start by matching reliable income to essential expenses. So what are essential expenses? Let's take care of the basics, right? We're going to pay the mortgage. We're going to pay the rent. We're going to pay our car payment, right? We're going to pay all our utilities. And we're going to have enough money left over to put some groceries in the fridge and maybe a bottle of wine or two in the wine cabinet. The bare essentials covered ideally through guaranteed income sources like Social Security and a pension. And then we're going to make up the difference with what we need from our investment portfolio, and also use that for our long-term discretionary expenses, the trips we want to take, the travel we want to experience, the vacation home we may want to buy or use for an extended rental. That will come from our investment portfolio. And so you'll need to do a little separation from needs and wants, what really is a need. I just kind of listed them all out. And most other things, barring some extra for maintenance, house maintenance and car maintenance and that type of thing. Above that, those are your wants. So once you know that predictable baseline of expenses and you know that all of those or most of those are covered by guaranteed income sources, then that knowledge right there can put you at a little more at ease. So what we do at Wealthway is then we create what we call a retirement paycheck for our clients that fills in the gap, that additional layer of spending that they can use for their enjoyment of their retirement period. And once we come back from our final break, I'll talk more about how we design and implement a retirement paycheck. I'm Certified Financial Planner Kevin Zivna. You're listening to Dollars and Common Sense on News Talk 790 WNIS.
Wealthway Financial Advisors, planning for life. Wealthway Financial Advisors, planning for life.
And welcome back to Dollars and Common Sense, your local source for objective, unbiased financial advice. I'm Certified Financial Planner Kevin Zivna, the president of Wealthway Financial Advisors, the premier financial planning firm in Hampton Roads, where we integrate expert investment management with customized, ongoing financial planning advice to help our clients answer life's big financial questions and enhance their quality of life. For more information about us, check us out online at wealthwayadvisors.com. All right. Tonight we're talking about how to go from a paycheck to a portfolio, replacing income without replacing your peace of mind. How do you generate income from your investment portfolio that is reliable, sustainable, and dependable, regardless of what the crazy market is doing in the short term? And that is our bread and butter at Wealthway. It's where we do some of our most extensive analysis and deepest analytical dives into our clients' personal financial situation, and we use sophisticated financial planning software and apply years of professional judgment into the process and ultimately put it all in the hopper, and out the bottom comes a spending number where we tell our clients that here is where we think, with a high degree of probability, remember there are no guarantees, okay? I cannot say with absolute certainty that you can maintain this number for the rest of your life, but we can say it with a high degree of probability, and we do, how much somebody can spend each month or annually for the rest of their lives without fear of running out of money. And because there isn't a guarantee in our world, and we're comfortable working in a probabilistic environment instead of a certain type of environment, and the benefits of that is that we get to enjoy a higher long-run rate of return on our money. But because we are comfortable working in that environment, then we are able to boil down our client's financial situation to a regular spending number, and we develop a built-in backup plans so that when we go through an eventual market decline, and if that decline is significant enough, if it's deep enough, or it takes too long to recover, then we have contingencies planned already in place that our clients can rely upon to maintain their standard of living no matter what the market is doing. And that's what most people care about. Can I maintain my style of living that I have grown accustomed to? Or can I even enhance it over a period of time? And usually that's what we find out. Most people can enhance their quality of life, their standard of living, when we take them through our income generation process. So we create a retirement paycheck for clients. And once they get that number, that provides them with confidence and peace of mind that that income is highly reliable and predictable, and there's a safety net placed under them so that if we need to make adjustments, those adjustments are typically reasonable, if not minor. Let's call them reasonable, to be fair. Reasonable adjustments from time to time, just to allow for occasional market volatility. So flexibility is, with a backup plan, is the ultimate safety valve to your spending plan. And the flexibility matters because no retirement plan unfolds exactly as expected. And even if we have fabulous market performance for extended periods of time, and we've been on a pretty good run here since 2022, life can sometimes get in the way of the best laid plans, right? And sometimes big expenses come out of nowhere that you never saw coming. And so unexpected new car that you didn't expect to buy, and so there's $50,000 right now, in generally speaking, for a brand new car. Or maybe you have a family member who has an emergency that you had to help out, or maybe there was a natural disaster and the house was damaged, and insurance, you're fighting the insurance company, and you still got to get the house repaired. Life happens, and it happens to all of us. And no matter how rock solid the plan, we can't plan for everything. That's just called life. And so sometimes unusual, unplanned, irregular, large expenses introduce themselves into our lives, and we have to adapt and adjust our plans accordingly. Well, that's what a good spending plan or income plan allows you to do. So, some misconceptions that we hear sometimes from clients, like, once I retire, then the plan is locked in, and I know for the rest of my life what I can spend. No, you can say that. Life is going to happen. Or sometimes, well, if I make adjustments, does that mean that the plan failed? No. Adjusting is part of the plan. It's how you adjust that makes the difference. So, a couple points to keep in mind. Most adjustments are temporary, not permanent, if you've done your calculations right. They act more as guardrails instead of rigid rules. So we give ranges of probability, ranges of spending. You can spend between $5,000 and $7,000 a month. Pick your number in there. Anywhere in there would be fine and highly probable of sustainability, but the higher it is, then the more likely you might need to adjust at some point. And that spending flexibility acts as a shock absorber to buy you some additional time through rough patches. So our preferred backup plan that we set up for most all our clients is very simple, very easy to implement, very comforting because they control the entire backup plan, and it's exceptionally low cost. And that is a very ample and overfunded bank account with anywhere between 1 and 2 years of portfolio withdrawals. So, for example, if our income plan that we develop for our clients where their retirement paycheck is, say, $5,000 a month, that equals between $60,000 to $120,000 set aside in a bank account in reserve, not earmarked for vacations or car purchases or anything like that, simply to protect as a shock absorber against market declines that are significant in nature. And occasionally, if the market decline is severe enough, then we proactively reach out to our clients and recommend that they temporarily reduce or suspend the amount they're withdrawing from their portfolio for a period of time and replace that reduction or suspension in the income by purposely drawing down on that ample bank account that is made up of 1 to 2 years of those portfolio withdrawals. And you provide a little bit of spending flexibility with that level of a backup plan, and statistics show that well above 90, probably closer to 95-6% of the time, you will weather most any financial storm, and your lifestyle remains protected for the rest of your life. You remain invested for growth, which means your assets grow faster and higher than bank assets. And over time, it allows you to spend even more if you manage your way through it properly. So having that backup plan, that buffer in your bank account, which, oh, by the way, we don't want that sitting in the bank basic savings or basic checking. You're making nothing these days, and you haven't been making anything for a decade in bank basic products. You've got to get that to short-term CDs or the bank's version of a money market account where you can get more market-like rates. It's still probably not going to – the best you can usually hope for is it keeps pace with inflation in those types of accounts, but that's okay. The purpose of that money is security, is protection, and peace of mind when you lay your head on the pillow at night. And it keeps you knowing that you have that backup plan in place with your income plan, your retirement paycheck. That helps you avoid panic-driven decisions that cause you to do the wrong thing at the wrong time, which is sell investments en masse or big chunks of investments in a down market. That's the last thing you want to do. Okay. That's about all the time I'm going to have for tonight. I still had a bunch more material I didn't get to, but maybe we'll save that one for another show. We'll be back in 2 weeks on Tuesday, March 10th at 6 p.m. again. But if you can't catch us then, get the show as a podcast. Search for Dollars and Common Sense wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Certified Financial Planner Kevin Zivna. You've been listening to Dollars and Common Sense on News Talk 790 WNIX.